Time is it?
It's time for Rick at Spursy.
Now call me real strong. Say no like to back and talk. Land to your fucking head. Do that for what let me say.
Hey, this is Wicked Spursy, Mike and Steve back at it following international break. We've got quite a bit to talk about, but before we get into any of that, Mike, how you doing, man?
Steve, I'm doing pretty good, man. I don't have any fun stories. Kid hit a banger this week from about 25 yards out. uh, that was it. Like first full game of the fall session, and they do kind of in the fall they do kind of a it's a mixed league, so it's boys and girls, and ages U14 down through U11. So and they just combine all the teams, and they have like a intra club league. It's kind of cool. There's four teams with about 16 kids on each team. It's a pretty cool little league, and all the kids get to kind of play different positions outside of what they're normally playing. Um, so it was really cool. Lucas got to play some center back. He looked pretty good with one of the pairings, and the other pairing not so great because he's the Mickey Van de Ven when he's playing center back. So they pushed really high up, and there was literally like one or two center backs the entire time. So like he was constantly having to run back to make tackles, and he wasn't great in the box. I can tell you that he wasn't a good in box defender. But again, he's never played the position. He played it at the ID camp he went to, the Seaboats United ID camp.
Oh yeah, them.
Yeah, but outside of that, man, like it's been a pretty good time outside of the international break and all that jazz. I mean, um, yeah. How about you, man? What have you been up to?
Well, I just came back from another trip down to Baltimore. Last trip, probably I'll ever have to take down there. Fortunately, because I don't know if any of our listeners are from Baltimore. The city's a dump. It's just an awful, awful, disgusting place. For whatever reason, there's just no sense of pride. There's trash everywhere. It smells. Um, just I've been there probably 4 times now, and I've just never had a good experience. But on a more positive note, my kiddo had a pretty interesting weekend into today. So starting today, he had his own soccer practice, and he made actually a really solid defensive play against one of the coaches, which was pretty cool. They were doing some game. All the kids try to score, and then the three coaches try to score, and it's just a bit of fun. But watching him just make that run back and then just step in front of the ball so the coach couldn't take a shot was awesome. Um, but he also got to try hockey for the first time over the weekend. They had a free clinic that they put on for first time hockey players, and yeah, he seemed to have had a really good time. Really enjoyed being back on the ice again, and first time with a stick, and got to take a couple of shots. So that was a lot of fun for him.
I
I
got
got
to see
some.
the yeah. You sent me the video. It was pretty cool, man. I appreciate that. For a guy who I wanted to get Lucas into hockey, but at the time I just like I my wife and I didn't have the means to do it. Like as far as time commitment and you know and money commitment, we didn't have the time to do it. So like seeing my friends' kids get out there and get the experience that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool for me. I also got to see some pictures. Brian from Rhode Island sent us sent me some pictures of his daughter out there on the soccer field too, and wow, pretty impressive, man. I got to tell you, pretty impressive.
Yeah,
These
it's
kids are
great
these
that
kids are. It's great, man. It's great what's going on.
I just like
In youth
seeing,
sports.
my kid, any kid really taking advantage of, some of these programs, whether it's sport related or otherwise. I mean, I've seen kids doing, like they've got the scouts that apparently are still around, and that's co-ed now, at least in Vermont. So that was kind of interesting to see. But you've got all sorts of offerings, and just to see kids going in like swarms to take advantage of a lot of the stuff that the different groups are putting up around here. It's great, and
And I'll
hockey
tell you
is
too, like in the face of all this stuff about how we talk about the pay to play system in the United States, and I know my son is part of that system. He's in a club, but we're not in it for anything, you know, anything more than his own development as a person, as well as a soccer player. And I could provide that for him, but and I know that you have recently um, put Isaac in a far post in a far post setup for the juniors, and that's where my son came out of. Not that young, but like that's where he came out of, that same coach. And but the great thing I think about when we talk about youth sports in America, um, is that there has been in the past probably 5 years a recognition of that pay to play system, and how it limits kids, and you're seeing more and more of these free clinics and reduced price club options popping up all over the place. More people volunteering for rec and that kind of stuff. It's I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, he had the if he was a bit more of an advanced skater, he'd be able to do, like the Burlington area hockey partnered with the Boston Bruins, so he could have had a reduced cost um, registration for a clinic over a few weeks, but he gets gear as a result. So, and for those of you who don't know, hockey is an expensive sport. It
It
is
is.
like hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars in gear and registration fees alone. And for them to do something that's essentially like a half price session with gear being included, for them to keep, is just, it's a huge, in my mind, introduction to an otherwise cost prohibitive sport for a lot of people. So I was very glad he got to do the free clinic. He signed up for two other sessions. One's through the rec department, and another one is through the Burlington Hockey Association or whatever it is. But keep this kid busy during the winter, that's for damn sure.
All right, yeah, that sounds great, man.
And hell, he even kind of has talked about wanting to play indoor ball again. So I know Farpost has some, winter sessions that they do indoors. So
Mhm.
maybe I'll really, drive him into the ground, get him running and skating and, exercising, which,
Next year you'll get Coach Lucas probably doing that.
hey,
So
that'd be great. But
yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing that's kind of nice, to just go out and see all these kids out there running and, just enjoying the weather, getting their exercise in. It's kind of a international joke, right? Oh, Americans are fat and lazy, but to see literally dozens and dozens and dozens of kids, um, not just in his program, but the one afterwards, and there's one in an adjacent field. There's probably hundreds of kids out there running around, getting their exercise, and not all of them are going to be superstars. In fact, I doubt very many, if any of them, move on to anything more than college at the highest possible level. But still, they're exercising, they're getting out there, they're moving, and more importantly, they're not getting involved in some negative things that people tend to get involved in when there's nothing else to do, but yeah, it's just been very refreshing.
It is. It is. You know what else is refreshing?
Tottenham Hotspur.
3 points. 3 points.
3 points is refreshing, and a convincing 3 points too.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So what I remember discussing this match, beforehand and thinking, it should be a win, right? It should be a win. West Ham are terrible, but they always tend to show up for Spurs. And so that's what worried me. And for a little while there in that first half, it looked like, okay, well, they're showing up. They're getting some action. There's a couple of attempts coming in. Nothing's terribly worrying. Maybe 1 or 2 moments of concern. But I mean, we dominated that second half, and it was convincing. It was everything that I wanted it to be, which does 2 things for me, right? First, it proves that the last game out was a fluke. It was not something that we should come to expect. And it also shows me that we've got that rotation already starting to show up within the squad, which is going to be immensely helpful as we've got another game coming up tomorrow in the Champions League against Villarreal.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's the big game, right? I mean, it really is gonna show you, the mettle of this team, right? But I mean, I would like to. I think we need to get some flowers to some of the players out there that really because the league matters, right? The league matters. Champions League matters because it matters for the money and that kind of stuff. It matters for the fan base to show that we're making progress and all that stuff. And it gives an opportunity to it gives us an opportunity to win a trophy. Always about winning trophies, right? Like we have to get some flowers, and I think we have to like the first plaudits we have to give out. Like I think Thomas Frank for incredible man management. As much as maybe he didn't, and I think he owned it a little bit, but also put it on a little bit of the players. The Bournemouth game, I think that he back and said, okay, I got that one wrong and I got to get this one right. And the game was pretty even for the first 15 minutes of the game, right? You had one of the most okay, it was probably one of the softest, most inconceivable occurrences that I've ever seen in the box. The foul that happened, that led to Romero's goal being pulled away.
And probably a fine for James Maddison for his comments about it on social.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, you're going to get that, right? I mean, we can let's talk about matters for a second because like that dude is fully fucking coys, man. And I think that he was always built for Tottenham, right? He's one of those guys who's just built for Tottenham, a little bit cocky, fun to watch, creative. Plays that type of creative, kind of sexy football that we think about when we think about Tottenham. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were looking at, and then they took a look at it. VAR took a look at it and agreed. They didn't just say there wasn't enough evidence to change the call. It was like an absolute. They were in agreement with the call that was on the field. They confirmed the call on the field, which to me, I mean, there has to be something that's going to change. PGMOL is going to really probably at some point get sick and tired of apologizing for the refereeing. I mean,
have they even apologized for this one?
Not yet, but it took them what a week and a half to apologize for what the thing that happened with Man United.
The big problem is that it's just so inconsistent. We get, kind of screwed over by it this week. Fortunately, it didn't really matter in the end. But there have been other games so far in the early season where it has absolutely made a difference. And an apology doesn't get you 3 points. An apology doesn't get you even 1 point in a draw. An apology is meaningless,
Yeah.
especially when nothing changes as a result.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
if they apologized for, how VAR was handled, and then they came out and said, going forward, we're going to do X, Y, and Z to make it a little bit of a more consistent system that does its purpose, I'd be fine with that. But most of the time it's just, oh, sorry, we messed that up. See you guys next week when we apologize for something else.
And this is the type of shit that leads to people saying VAR does not work. Right? I mean, it gathers steam week after week after week. This movement to get rid of VAR. I mean, VAR is not going anywhere, but there are things they can do to improve it. And we talked about it on this podcast before. Like there are a number of things that they can do to improve it, and part of it is maybe allowing coaches challenges or that kind of thing. You get a couple of challenges a game. I don't know how you do it with soccer because it would be pretty tough, but you know, the semi-automated offsides is supposed to help. And as far as I know, it is kind of helping, but
It's just, to me, it's ridiculous when you can get bitter rival fans. Like I was seeing Arsenal supporters who were like, that, if anything, that's a foul on Van de Ven. Like that should be a penalty, if nothing else.
well, right, because he gets shoved right he gets shoved by the goalkeeper, right, and then he kind of falls into the miniature left back Kyle Walker Peters, who's trying to, I don't know, get in front of him and Christian Romero. That's a silly thing to do. But like when he gets shoved, the first thing he does is like he puts his hands out to try and stop himself, and at the same time, you have Kyle Walker Peters who's grabbing onto Christian Romero's shirt and trying to get in front of him. And as he's doing it, he drags himself to the ground. Like the whole thing was weird, man. The whole sequence was weird. But then what happens is that, we take that one on the chin. We come out, we start to play into the game, and Tottenham took over from there. And then you get the header from Pap Sarr, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about Sarr for a minute because I've been thinking a lot about how even from game one this season, he seems to have like started to really understand what Frank wants of him, and he has been so much better in the last couple of games as a midfielder. Maybe Bournemouth excluded, but nobody was really doing much there. But I thought he was, pretty solid against West Ham. He was even solid in the who did we play before Bournemouth? I can't even remember. Was that City?
That Man City, yeah,
Yeah,
that light blue team. I think they're light blue.
he looks like the kid who is really starting to understand what is required of him, and he's really starting to show what he can bring to the midfield. Which I mean, I do think a lot of that has to deal with having Polina in there to, kind of anchor things down, but he was pretty solid. Maybe not the best midfielder out there for us, but definitely worthy of a shout out.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I mean, I think that with Pap Sarr, like he was put in a position last year, especially where he had to play a number of different positions. He was constantly being um pushed and pulled in three different directions. There was no consistency for him on what instructions he was getting from the manager, um, especially from a manager who said, "That's the way we play, mate." Um, you know, I think that like he was being put at a disadvantage last year. Now he's being given a chance with a healthy squad that can rotate for him if he needs, but he's being given a chance to learn a position, um, to learn what is expected of him in the from the coach, and I think that the coach sees in him some things that, you know, maybe he can't do this, but maybe he's really good at this. So we'll put him in the best position to do the job, you know, that is in front of him. And I think that, we're really early in the season and you never know what's gonna, happen, in the rest of the season. But for right now, it's looking pretty goddamn good, man.
Yeah, it really is. And we still have a couple of other players that haven't even hit the ground running yet. And one of which actually started at West Ham. And I do want to talk about him a little bit. Mike, what were your thoughts on our very own Xavi Simone's, whatever, getting out there? He got the assist to Papsar from the corner. But what did you make of his performance overall?
Look, I think he was. It's gonna take a few games for him to get into the speed and physicality of the Premier League. Like I don't think that it seems like, and other players on the club have talked about like what it takes to when they came into the Premier League, that it's such a change because it's way more physical. It's the game is faster. The game moves differently than in other leagues. So there is an adjustment period, but he looked pretty comfortable at times out there. Like initially, I think he hadn't seen a touch, or he had maybe seen one or two touches in the first 15 minutes of the game, and then once he started playing into the game, and I'm sure he probably feels a little more comfortable playing in the middle than out on the left hand side, which I thought was a weird place for him to start. I really thought that Bergvall wouldn't have started, but we'll talk about him in a minute. But I think like he's gonna earn his keep out there on the left hand side, even though we have um, currently 344 wingers on our team, uh, and most of them play the left side, which we saw one of them playing through the middle. In Matty Tell, um, another I think really good choice by Frank, giving him that game time that he needs to stay fit and to stay involved in the club, even though he's not on the Champions League roster. But I think Javi was really, really, really good. Um, you could see him just kind of, like I said, playing into the game and getting more and more comfortable. And he did some things with the ball at his feet that were pretty exciting to watch. Even there was one sequence where he was kind of he dribbled through the midfield around three or four guys and just close contact with the ball and just kind of laid it off. There were a couple other times where he did a couple of little things that were like, "Ooh, oh my gosh, we got a player here." But I think overall he was industrious. He did what was asked of him, and I think it was a feeling out process. I think it's going to take him probably 3 or 4 games. But at the same time, I think he also didn't want to burn himself out because we do have Champions League coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just the pace of the Premier League either. It's getting to understand your teammates as well. I mean, maybe it's the same one you were just talking about, but that sequence where he was dribbling through and he'd laid the ball off, but nobody made that run. And you could just see him smiling after, like, I thought you were gonna do this, like, which is totally normal. That's understandable. But yeah, I do think he's a special player. I do want to talk about another special player though, and you already mentioned his name, Lucas Bergvall, who first off, what an incredible header. That was just insane, dude.
Yeah, we have a couple of shouts for maybe already goal of the season. Like, how far out was that? Like, I dude, first
He
of all,
had to have been at least 18, at least.
white men can jump.
I get Lucas Bergvall's proving it.
Holy shit! And then the speed with which I don't the power and speed with which he shot that ball. I mean, I know Hermanson is like, I know he's new to the team and he's kind of an unproven quantity, and but man, I don't know if he could have even defended that any better. Like I have some West Ham friends who are like, who didn't believe that ball ever should have gone in, that Hermanson was out of position, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he had a chance. I just think that where Bergvall put that ball, there was no chance. He's so exciting. And here's another kid who, you know, trial by fire last year, right? Just like Sar, kind of trial by fire, came in, teenager, did his best in a league that he was unfamiliar with, coming from a league that isn't one of the top, isn't one of the top leagues in the world, and being able to do what he does, and he just keeps getting better, and he just keeps making it more and more exciting for the fans, and I can't fucking wait to see more of this kid.
Absolutely, and it's not just the finishing too. It's the way he passes the ball, the way he looks to get between the lines of the defense. It's really remarkable seeing him just out there having fun.
He is having fun, but like he's always got that kind of look of determination on his face. I mean, he is he's an exciting, what a player we have. What a player we have. The future of this
Yeah.
is absolutely unbelievable. I'm just so goddamn excited to watch this team more and more. And sure, yeah, we did beat a couple of blah blah teams, but these like
We would
we've
have
always
lost
talked
that
about.
last season.
What's that?
We would have lost it last season.
We haven't beaten them there in 6 years, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck their bubbles. Fuck their bubbles.
absolutely. And just the icing on the cake, though, Mickey Van de Ven getting on the score sheet too with that strike. I mean, come on, man.
Maybe we have a center forward there.
Well, he did. I'm pretty
He
sure
could do the
as a
same thing that
youth
Chris
player.
Wood does.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a center forward as a youth player at one point, but it's just so interesting to me. I remember watching that play unfold and thinking, where the hell did Van de Ven come from? Like, all of a sudden, he's like in the attacking midfield position to just fire it home. But I do think, A, great finish, and B, the partnership that he has with Romero back there is just so good that he can do things like that and know that he's got somebody behind him, between him and even Paulinho, who can, kind of plug the gaps, cover things up, make the interceptions. Just absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. I another guy who, we can't give enough plaudits to. Every single week, we rarely ever say anything bad about him. I will never say anything bad about him ever because of one simple clearance. But yeah, another guy back there who seems to be just plugging away. Seems to be. I know we say nobody's undroppable because of the amount of, not because of the way that they play, but because of the amount of games that we have to play and the rotation options that we need. But Jed Spence again, just like it was like Jared Bowen at some point fell asleep and just Jed kind of just tied his shoes together, laced his shoes together. Like he bottled him up the entire game. He frustrated him. Like Bowen is not a player. Is not a player who is easily pocketed. And it's crazy to say that Jed Spence is becoming indispensable. And it's crazy to say, like, thinking about a couple of years ago when he couldn't get himself into the squad. He couldn't get himself onto the bench, let alone into the squad. Um, like a kid who was never known for his defense being almost unbeatable, right? I mean, has he been beat off the dribble once even at all this season? I don't know. Maybe against Bournemouth. But man, we have a team here, and maybe if it's not this year, it's gonna be in the next couple of years. If and we're seeming to be extending these young kids' contracts at breakneck speed. So, like, let's keep. I know Jed is one of the older of the young kids that I talk about, but like, let's keep doing this. Let's get this club under contract for a few years and work on this project that began with Ange and I think can come to a culmination under a Thomas Frank. I think we're lucky to have a coach that is going to now be given some license to build the squad that he wants to with the help of a Paratici and Vinay, right? Who's our new chairman? I can't remember his name, but
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it, to be honest.
but yeah, I think Vinay is I think he is part of the reason that Arsenal is what they are right now, and I think that he can do the same at Spurs. And if he can get Spurs the league before Arsenal gets the league, that would be icing on the cake for me. And I would thank them for that.
Absolutely. That would be honestly probably one of the funniest things that could happen in North London, in my opinion. One of them. Another incredibly humorous thing that would really scratch a nice itch for me would be, hey, Mike, what you drinking?
Oh, Steve, I love it when you say that. Today, I generally have a thing that I feel like Portland Hearts of Pine in the USL one. I feel like they're even though they're in the USL one and we're in the USL two, they kind of baby brothered us, where they kind of they took all of our old clothing, their fan base, their club. They took all of our old clothing and they're using it and to like all the cool clothes, right? And they're using it to make themselves popular. They're taking everything that Vermont Green built and they're using everything. And I'm still pissed off about it. We're down to a beer sponsor, Steve. Right down to a beer sponsor, just like Vermont Green has.
What? Okay. Allagash. All right.
I cannot stand Portland Hearts of Pine. I cannot stand them. I wish them to go away. I thought to myself, what a great thing. Portland, Maine, getting a soccer club, a pro soccer club in the United States. It even says "Up the Hearts" on the can.
No.
Yeah. And now they've started using the UTFH that we have been using for the Up the Fucking Green. Now they're using it for Up the Fucking Hearts. Just the only hearts that are going to be upped are the Hearts in the Scottish League.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Why not? But I'm going to try this beer. Allagash makes great beer. This is, it says brewed for match day. It's an Allagash Kickabout lager. Oh, we're going to have a Kickabout up in Portland.
Yeah. Good luck with that, I guess.
The Portland Hearts of Pine, which I will say, Brewmaster Terry years ago said that if he ever had an adult rec league team, he was going to call that team Hearts of Maple. Weirdly, 2 years later, Hearts of Pine comes into existence.
And just so everybody is on the same page, Mike, when you're talking Portland, you're talking Portland, Maine,
Yeah. The real
as
Portland.
opposed to Portland, Oregon, which,
The real Portland.
yeah, some people might be thinking, oh, it's a West Coast beer. Nope. East Coast.
East Coast. It is a lager. All right. Lagers are generally going to be yellow, fizzy beers, a soapy head on them. Soapy, yeah.
All
soap.
right. The description
They're
matches.
going to be crisp. They're going to be clean. They're fermented at lower temperatures than ales are. Therefore, as the yeast works, it eats the all the adjuncts and the sugars and everything, and the way that it eats the sugars, it leaves this crisp, clean look. And they're generally cold crashed. I mean, these are usually pretty clear. This one, for some reason, smells really, really sweet and kind of a bit hoppy. These are generally not hoppy beers, but I'm gonna take a stab at this one, see what we get. Again, I really, really enjoy Allagash beers. They make a really, really great white ale.
Their white ale is good. I'll
Yeah,
give
a
them
little spicy. People put oranges with it, but I don't put orange. I don't put fruit in my beer. It's fucking gross.
Yeah, Cobra Commander doesn't put fruit in beer.
I just want you to know that I don't know if we talked about this, but I have been accused of supporting a global terrorist organization known as Cobra Command. So, sorry.
No, you're not.
No, not at all, because it's a comic book, but tastes like a Spurs win, I guess.
It's it's a comic book, people. Like, let's dial it back, all right? There's other things for us to be upset about, and we'll talk about it later, but Cobra Commander's not one of them.
It's not
All
a
right.
lager. I mean, it might be a lager. It might be an India Pale lager. It's really hoppy.
Maybe
But it's not.
maybe they let a bunny in or something. Kangaroo.
It's a pale ale of some sort. It's like an IPL. It's overly hopped. It has a little bit of that citrus bite to it. If they're gonna call it an India Pale lager, great beer. Great beer. I mean, it's well made. It's really, really well made. It's tasty, but it doesn't tell me lager when I'm drinking it. So I don't know what to think about it. I mean,
It's confusing. It sounds like it's saying one thing, it's giving you another.
I mean, it's a really good beer. It's a really good beer. It's just not as advertised, man. And for that, I'm going to take a full 0.5 off of it.
You're gonna take a full 0.5 off?
Yeah, because it's not what it says it's not what it says it is.
Okay. I think
And it doesn't
I
even
think
give
I know
me-
where
it
this
doesn't
is
even give me
going, and
any
I am ready
indication.
with my guess.
Okay. 3.4, Steve.
I was so close. I went like
It-
3.6.
It would have been a 4 or more. I mean, this is, if it said India Pale Lager, 100% this beer is right up that alley. It
You
is.
hear that,
5% alcohol.
Allagash? Fix your label.
Or just fucking just I don't know. Or tell Portland Hearts of Pine to get the step in.
You know what? I'll tell them. I don't think they're going to get the message, but I will do my absolute best to spread the good word.
I can't wait till we get to play them in the US Open Cup and we smash them. It's going to be so nice.
Yeah, it will be. Man,
You know that's who we're going to be playing.
Yeah, I mean, we could get the luck of drawing literally like the top team available just because.
Inter Miami.
Oh my God, could you at home? So we would have to get Lionel Messi over to Virgin Field.
He would not play on Virtue Field. They barely got him to play in New England.
Fair enough. But still, that would be something.
I'd like to see Busquets. I mean, that'd be cool, but
it's never going to happen. But
No,
yeah, we can dream, right?
absolutely not. Absolutely not going to happen.
So that was Kickabout Logger, quote unquote, from Allagash, 3.4. And
Would've been 3.9.
now that we're talking about dreaming, we can dream about what's to come. We got Villarreal tomorrow, first and foremost. So why don't we start there? How are we feeling going into that fixture?
I think it's a game that we should win. You know, I mean, they're one of these teams that kind of they're a bounce back and forth between Europa and Champions League, right? They're I think that they're going I think that they're going to they'll represent their league well, but I don't think that they're going to be one of these teams that is going to come out of the league stage you know, without being in a playoff. I think that they're one of the top playoff contenders for this league.
You know what?
I mean,
I'm curious.
But you know who they do have, and Spurs love to play against them. Your very favorite rapist.
I was just about to mention it. Do you think he's going to get to be on the field, or do you think they're going to have the police there waiting for him to take him in?
I don't think they're going to be waiting for him.
I would, you know what? I think it would be absolutely peak TV if right before quick kickoff, as both teams are out there on the field, before the ref can blow the whistle, you just see a police cruiser pull out onto the field, toss him in the back, and get him off there. And Villarreal are forced to make a sub before the game even starts. That would be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we know that's probably not going to happen. But I mean,
no, it should have happened ages ago. But
right, and I know we like to pick, and you know, we know that other North London team is are apologists, but look, I think that like you're going to see Villarreal is going to they're going to be super compact on their defense. They're very organized, right? They have some pretty decent technical players up front, but I just don't see them beating Spurs. I'm really worried about like the management of the minutes that Kudus is playing. That's my one key concern here, and the fact that we don't have somebody to kind of back up Richie should anything happen, right? I mean, which is
fair, yeah.
Unless Kolomuani is going to be able to play and fill that role.
Which he is available, by the way.
Thomas Frank he's still kind of coming off injury and stuff, and like he will be available, but I think this game is going to hinge on creative players, and I think that Xavi's going to have to step up. I think that Palhinha is going to be perfect for this game. He's going to be a rock, a stalwart in the center, and I think that, you know, the way that he wins duels, the way that he tackles, I think is going to be perfect to set the tone for this game. And I think that, you know, in the end, Spurs win this match 2-1. Yeah, and I think the two goals come early.
I honestly, when it comes to you know, evaluating the teams, comparing the teams, I gotta say, their defense is 1/4 as good as ours. Um, I couldn't help
Oh,
myself. It needed to be said.
God damn it. God damn it.
No, it's going to be a good game. I do think I agree with you, Mike. I do think we win. I do think it's going to be a clean sheet win, though. In my mind, the way that Mickey and
Clean sheet in
Romero
the
and
Champions League is one
Mario,
in a million.
yeah, there we go.
I had to get on it too. I'm sorry.
But all right, so we've got Villarreal. We both think we're going to get a win there. But looking ahead, we're away to Brighton at the weekend. How are we feeling
Yeah.
about that one?
I think that's a win. I think it's another game that we have the absolute opportunity to go in there, get another 3 points, solidify our spot in the early season top 4, and as long as we continue to stay healthy, as long as the players continue to develop and fit into the system and be aware of the things that they're being asked to do out there by the coaches, and as long as we continue to be very organized and compact defensively, I think that like teams like Brighton are ripe for the picking.
Especially given their early season form. I mean, they haven't exactly been cohesive.
No, they really haven't, and it's when you get in, and we know from past seasons, when you get into an early season slump like this, it's really really hard to dig yourself out, right? Because guys start to get it into their head that, oh, maybe we don't belong here, maybe we don't belong at the top, like things start to creep in, and I not to discount anything that they do offensively, because they do have some really really good players, um but I just don't think that um Brighton, they kind of fell off. They were on the ups. um they had one rough season, they were doing really really good with Graham Potter, right? Graham Potter knew what he was doing there. He was being helped the way he needed to be helped. um and then he went for the big money, big club, and then things kind of fell apart at Brighton. They had some nice spells in the past couple seasons, and they had some really nice players. I really really love Matoma, um, but I just don't think that Brighton is going to be one of these teams um, that is standing in anybody's way at the end of the season. I think they're going to end up. They're not going to get relegated, but they're not going to be one of the top 10 teams. I don't believe.
Yeah, unless they have some kind of a crazy turnaround. I'd agree with that. Kind of like a bottom mid table squad is what it's looking like, which is kind of unfortunate because it seems like every time they take 2 steps forward, they're getting knocked like 3, 4, 5 steps backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'll capitalize on it. And Brighton, if we've got any Brighton fans listening, you can always take solace in knowing that at least you're not Manchester United.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty embarrassing. I don't even know what to think. Talk about talented players. I don't really want to get into this, but like,
We will when we get to our fixture versus them, assuming that Amarim's still in charge.
I
But
mean, it's almost impressive how bad they are.
oh yeah, just
Given
awful.
given the fact that they have all these players and they spend all this money,
And they're
Ah,
still bad.
yeah, and they have a coach. They have a coach who was flying high, in Portugal, and he comes to take the Premier League job, and his entire life and being just falls apart. I mean, it happened to Graham Potter too, right?
I mean, look, I'm not going to feel bad for them because at the end of the day, they're getting paid lots and lots of money. success or not, they're walking away millionaires, for what it is. To me, the players, I think, are the ones who really ought to, kind of hang their heads in shame. They're the ones who are more embarrassing at this point. You can talk about the terrible tactics, uh, but at the end of the day, right, you're showing up to play for your manager, and if you're not going to do the things that he's setting the team up to do, whether you're capable of it or not. Like, you can't just hang your head and say, "Oh, well, I don't want to do this because it's not my favored position or whatever." But again, we'll get to Manchester United, I think,
In
a
November.
little bit down the line.
Yep.
I do
Yep.
know that we've got, we've got about 10 minutes left on our show here, and I do know that we've got some very important topics that we wanted to wrap with. So I do want to make sure that we have enough time to give it the care and consideration that I think it deserves. And Mike, I know you wanted to go first, so why don't we start off with your final thoughts?
Yeah, so it's been mentioned on other podcasts, and it's been mentioned by some folks on our social media that we, um for better or for worse, we do get into that kind of world of talking politics, and everybody knows where we stand as far as our politics, and we do wear our politics on our sleeve. We wear our social being on our sleeves, and I think it's important that we address kind of what's happening in the United States right now. And I mean, I know that it's been building for a long time. It started like the divide started happening way back with the Tea Party movement, in the mid 2000s, and it's built up to this point where, um, someone who does social commentary, gets shot and killed in front of millions of people, basically. I know that, folks watched it happen live, and it was disturbing to see, and you know for what it's worth, I never agreed with Charlie Kirk on anything. He For me, I'll say this about what happened. He was a disgusting racist, Zionist, anti-LGBT, transphobic, white Christian nationalist. Uh, i- and I can say for certain, being a former Catholic, that this man neither spoke nor lived the words of Jesus or God, or what was passed down in the Bible, uh, and was in practice a pretty awful person. That said, what happened was absolutely horrific, absolutely horrific. Uh, this kind of violence, no matter who it is, what the situation is absolutely, undeniably deplorable and disgusting, and it needs to stop. Uh, this is a devastating, awful thing that happened for his family, especially his kids, his friends, his colleagues, this country. It was an awful, awful, awful day, uh, for this nation. No one deserves this. However, I will say that, you know he reaped what he sowed. Um, It's a it, and that is a plain fact, and I refuse to accept anyone who tries to co-opt the pain of his family, his friends, or anyone who tries to use this tragedy as a way to advance his message or their message, or enact any sort of revenge on libs or anybody that disagrees with his ideology. It's completely unacceptable. Um, and I think that when we on this podcast talk about politics, um, and talk about where we are socially in this world, and in our personal lives, um, we're coming from a place of frustration. We're coming from a place where the world is in, not so much in Vermont, but in general, is becoming a place where people don't tolerate others. Um, where we have out and out absolute fascism taking over in this country, um, because people refuse to avail themselves to information, and people refuse to do the hard work at and just be easily swayed by listening to a social commentary. I know that's what I'm doing right now, but like we have to understand that acceptance of other people's beliefs and acceptance of other people's ways of life is something that is necessary for us to move forward here. And I just needed to say this and just make sure that everybody knows that yes, I disagreed with everything that he said. I disagree with Ben Shapiro and all those other conservative commenters. I disagree with our president, and I disagree with most of the Republican Party in the United States. I disagree with all of that, but what I can say is that people's free speech should never be infringed upon, and violence like this should never, ever, ever happen. So that's the way I feel. I'll just turn it over to you, Steve, because I know we wanted to use our
Well
final
said.
word
And
here.
you know what, Mike? That does segue nicely into the point that I wanted to make, which was, what do we do about it, right? And I don't mean the two of us because we're just, the two of us. I mean we as, our listeners, society, not just in the US, but globally, right? How do you deal with something like this? People might be sitting there thinking, well, I'm just one person. I can't do much, so what's the point, right? But you have to consider these people that we're talking about, the ones that you mentioned, right? Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes, that other, douche nozzle that I disagree with.
I don't just disagree with Nick Fuentes. He's a vile, disgusting human being, and I and I
Absolutely.
and I and I won't sway from that thought at all.
Yeah, but the thing about it is they're individuals too, right? They just have a platform that they exploit to, generate this sort of inflammatory rhetoric that gets people all gung ho to, you know, do these awful, awful things, right? So, part of the reason that the two of us are here talking about this right now on a Tottenham Hotspur podcast is because we have a platform. For some reason people listen to us, and for me personally, I think it's sort of our obligation to use this platform to let people know that each of you listening out there has the ability to spread kindness, right? Like the same way that these people are going out there and they're letting millions of people listen to their hate and their absolutely dreadful views. You don't need to have an audience of millions. We reach out to hundreds of people, and if each of you reaches out to 5, 10, 15, friends, family, whatever, and tries to be kind and spread positivity, that does have a rippling effect too. So I don't want people to think that it's all doom and gloom. The fires keep getting stoked. We're throwing gasoline on it constantly. We being society, but at the end of the day, we do as individuals have power to do our best to shift the narrative, right? Like I share with my young son over here what is a good thing to do, what is appropriate, and how you should handle people, right? Especially people who want to be bullies. And we just, that's not something we tolerate. But again, I'm just an individual. How do I do that? I volunteer for different community organizations. I come out here and use the platform that we have to spread a message encouraging positivity and encouraging people to look for hope and really be the change that you want to see. And not to spread a spotlight on the hatred, not to give it any more attention than it already gets, right? If you see something online that feels like it's going to, for lack of a better word, trigger you and make you upset, don't look at it. Don't watch it. You don't need to. And while I'm on the subject of online content, the one thing that I want to stress right now, probably more than anything else, when it comes to being online, which frankly we're all perpetually online. Just remember, at this point in our lives, there's more AI bot activity generating content on the internet than actual people creating it. So, statistically speaking, most comments that you see, it's going to be created more likely than not by a bot, something fictitious. It's a fabrication. So, before you let yourself be pulled into this reactionary sort of take that you see, make sure you go out, look at other sources, aggregate everything before you react to it. And honestly, slowing down to do that in and of itself is a great way to think, is this something that I really want to waste my time on, right? Do I really want to ruin my day by looking at a bunch of hateful comments? And more often than not, in my experience, the answer is no. It's not worth getting into a flame war with some, troll that's really just, a Russian bot trying to, again, pour gasoline on the fire. It's better for us to just, what? This does not bring any happiness into my community. It doesn't provide support to my friends, to my family. I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell, my buddy, hey, you did a great job at that thing today. I'm going to go tell my coworker, I really appreciated what you brought to that meeting. I'll have a conversation, with some family members over dinner and talk about the good things that we've done today. And, what am I going to do tomorrow? Can I do something good tomorrow that might benefit somebody else? And we opened our episode today talking about the kids that we're seeing engaged in activities and doing all sorts of good things. Just because we're adults and we're sort of jaded to a lot of that doesn't mean we can't make a conscious effort to go out there and put just as much good as we're seeing hate from a lot of these individuals. So that's where I want to leave it. If you have the ability to do something good for somebody, in my view, you should absolutely do it. If it doesn't cost you anything, if it's not going to harm you, be kind, be nice, and just be the change you want to see. And that's where I'll leave that.
That's perfect, Steve. I'll tell you, if there's one thing that came out of this tragedy, and it's that people have started to talk, right? People have actually started to question. People have started to talk. The loud noises that come from that side continue to be loud noises that come from that side, but like getting this is what it's all about, is it's getting people to talk. So for what it's worth, again, I didn't agree with anything that this man ever said, but from his death could come something that's very good, and it getting people to talk.
And you know what? Hopefully, we do see some significant change. Hopefully, we stop putting the spotlight on inflammatory rhetoric and we start holding people accountable for the dangerous remarks that they make that really impact huge swaths of particularly marginalized communities. If we can get people to start ignoring a lot of this talk, and we can get people to turn away from the vitriol out there, I think that's hopefully something that leads us towards a much better future. But only time will tell. And as long as we're coming together to do Wicked Spursy, we're always going to come and leave messages of positivity and try to make sure that our listeners really understand that we do this not for money, not for clout or anything. We do this because it's fun. We like it. It's enjoyable. I love getting together, every week and having a conversation with Mike and our various guests and friends. Um, but since we do have this platform, it's important for us to be a positive voice as well, right? Even if one person takes anything we've said to heart, I mean, that's one more than yesterday, right? So to me, it's a fantastic opportunity for us, and again, I think it's our obligation to use a little bit of our time to, kind of talk about this situation and how it's impacted us.
Absolutely. Well, I think that is gonna be time for us today. Thanks for everybody. We love and appreciate you all. And I really want to thank you all for listening. Again, we're Wicked Spursy Podcast. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms, on Blue Sky and on Instagram. I'm gonna post links to the show, and if you want, just please interact with us. Give us your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. We won't fight with you. Unless your opinions are stupid. So sorry, just had to bring a little
And even
levity
then,
to this.
it's in a fun kind of
Yeah,
banter
I just had
sort
to
of
bring a
way.
little levity at the end there. But yeah, absolutely. And Steve, what are the things you tell everybody every single week on this show?
Oh well, obviously, coys, 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 coys.
And
Don't be an asshole. And Mike, what would you like to leave us with?
look, I always tell everybody, go out there, tread lightly, be safe. But also I want to make sure that everybody goes out there, protects their mental health, and have conversations with your neighbor.
And
Oh yeah, Tottenham Hotspur action. It's Frank-tastic.